so the race gets underway. Good start by Lee Piercy, actually, from the outside of the front row. He's going to lead into the first corner. Dan Harborough trying to get up on the inside of Graham Crowhurst there for second place, which was a short-lived attempt. So it's Piercy leading, then in the number 61 car, the Class 6 car. You often see a Class 6 car in the outright lead of these BMW Car Club Racing Championship races. I suspect it won't be for too long, because already Graham Crowhurst is challenging him as they make their way through Church Corner for the first time, and probably when they get onto this straightish bit of circuit, he will power by. Indeed, he's already doing that. There is Graham Crowhurst, number 15, the driver from Kent, up into the lead of the race and looking to add the two race wins that he had yesterday. I'm sure he would have appreciated actually a little bit more competition that he's going to get in this race, but you can only beat the opposition that's put in front of you. I expect Lee Piercy probably will have a reasonably clear run in Class 6 as well, but we did see some good battling down the order in Class 6 and in the Cup class yesterday, Josh, so we'll hope for more of the same today.
Yeah, that's right. There's Wayne Lewis. He's already about 6th from near the back in car number 7. But yeah, Graham Crowhurst was saying about how much he enjoyed the first half of the first race yesterday when he was battling with Paul Cook before Paul Cook had a bit of a drama with a back marker, didn't he? And then his day sort of got worse from there on for Cook. But here, Graham Crowhurst and Lee Piercy have already pulled way clear of everybody else. So Piercy, after just one lap, leads the six-cylinder class by over 3 seconds, which is a pretty remarkable feat. I noticed Ivan Mayer's made a pretty disastrous start, so I presume he's not leading the Cup class, which he won twice yesterday, and that is actually his championship rival, Gareth Thomas, who got ahead. So we'll have to watch out for the Cup class battle too, because that was good yesterday. But here are the six-cylinder guys, including a couple of the M1 machines, Mark Coleman and Wayne Lewis. I can see at Church we had a big old spin. I'm not sure if we can pick that up, but Mike Nash has spun onto the infield out of Church. There he is, just in front of our building, which you can see at the back of the shot there. So the Patron liveried car is off the road. Wayne Lewis there goes around the outside of Mark Coleman through the second part of Rocket to grab 3rd or 4th position. There it's 4th, I think, yeah, behind Dan Harborough in the E30, the oldest car in the race here. And Mike Nash is getting out of his car in a problematic position because it's not near any place of safety, really. That's right, so we have to keep an eye on what's done about that. Crowhurst, meanwhile, has come through to complete the second lap of the race, and already he's quite a long way clear of anybody else, 3.8 seconds clear of Lee Piercy. Mike Nash there just wondering what to do, waiting for the directions of the marshals on the start line as to what he should do, because there's no barriers that he can get behind, so he's in an exposed position at the moment. 3 minutes of the race have gone, 17 minutes of it remain, and we'll just have to see what is done here about that. Meanwhile, Wayne Lewis making up further positions. In a yellow flag zone?
Yes.
Because we got cars off?
Yes, and the yellow flag was waving at the exit of the banking, so odd to see that happen. But anyway, that will be sorted out later on. So Wayne Lewis now up to 3rd position. Dan Harborough is in 4th place, and now we have yellow flags on the start line as well, because the safety car is heading out onto the circuit where it will pick up the race leading car of Graham Crowhurst, which is just coming down through the corkscrew. Now I can see, so yellow flags already waving all the way around the circuit. There's the Renault Megane, the safety car. So it looks like the safety car is going to pull in to the pit lane. So we will go green flag racing again with just under 14 minutes of the race left to go. Graham Crowhurst now able to control the pace. Yep, sounds like he's now going and getting this race back underway. So it was just the one lap that we had behind the safety car, and Crowhurst can get back down to business now. He is leading then with number 61 Lee Piercy in 2nd place, and number 7 Wayne Lewis now going with him up in 3rd. There's been quite a gap back actually to Dan Harborough as this race is resumed. In 4th position, number 30 Mark Coleman, 66 is 5th, and we're getting the change for 2nd place there that we expected to happen. And you can see Wayne Lewis without the rear bumper on the car, and that was the reason that he pitted towards the end of the race yesterday, Josh. Yeah, that's right. I think Lee Piercy waved him through basically, didn't he? He left a great big gap. I'm not really sure what Dan Harborough was doing at the restart really, because he's 4 seconds behind the car in front of him when he took the green flag. But that's really the
one of the battles of interest, because you've got Mark Colmer and Andy Wynne trying to chase after him. And then in the Cup class, Gareth Thomas has got 3 cars in between himself and Ivor Mears, and that equated on the restart to best part of 6 seconds actually. So Gareth Thomas might here be able to wrap up that Cup class title today if he can stay ahead of Ivor Mears. And Gareth Thomas has only won a couple of times this year, so he'd be quite liking to do that again, because he hasn't won actually since April at Croft, the first meeting of the season. There's Jim Benson. He started from the back, didn't he? He was 8th by the time the safety car came out, and he's already got himself up another position at the start of this lap. So he's with Andy Wynne now in what is the battle for 6th and for 3rd already in the class. So Jim Benson's doing a good job here, and Wynne defends, moves to the inside, then takes his racing line through turn 1. But Jim Benson has the pace here. He was about a second quicker on the last lap, despite having to gain a place. He goes around the outside as they go through the banking using that higher line, but I don't think that's really worked for him. He's washed out a little bit wide, so Jim Benson will have to try again a bit later on. So through Church, he's got the speed, hasn't he? Right on the rear bumper of Andy Wynne. But with that rear wing, that might not actually help his case going uphill through the air. Might just give the car a bit more drag, and therefore don't have the straight line speed. But then through the corners up here, he can have more confidence in the brakes. So Andy Wynne defends. So this is going well here is Andy Wynne again. He's had a couple of 3rd places so far this year in Class 6. He's currently running in 3rd position ahead of Jim Benson.
Yep, so a nice little scrap between these two for 6th and 7th position overall, and 3rd place within the 6-cylinder class. Crowhurst meanwhile has completed another lap, and Wayne Lewis still there in 2nd place. So watching these two in the Cup class, Gareth Thomas several cars between himself and Ivor Mears. Thomas in 10th place overall, Ivor Mears in 13th position. Continue to watch this battle going on. It's behind Mark Colmer, who's in a Class M1 car, so a slightly more powerful car, BMW M3. Benson here thought he was going to have a look there on the exit of turn 1. He's going to switch to the inside line for the banking. They're banked 180-degree hairpin, but he again decides that discretion is the better part of valour and tucks back in behind. You can see the 82 car, Saranga Sadish Rahari just behind him in 8th place, number 82, Tom Singleton 9th, David Morris up to 10th place on that lap, I think, in the 96 car as well.
So can Benson try again? And like I say, Andy Wynne isn't as quick over a lap as Jim Benson, but has been able to keep him behind so far. And Jim Benson is, I think, the more experienced driver, isn't he, here? So he's continuing to do a good job in what looks like a really standard car as well, doesn't it, in that livery? You could mistake that to be a road car if it didn't have the numbers on and a couple of stickers. And not really falling away from Mark Colmer either, are they, in that M3? It's only 1.7 seconds ahead at the start of the lap, so they head into the corkscrew as we move into the 2nd half of this race. Jim Benson, who's had success at the Burkitt Relay as well in that car, run by Rutech Motorsport, and they both caught Mark Colmer actually on that lap.
Oh, mistake from Andy Wynne there at turn 1. The car became a little bit unsettled. This might give Jim Benson an opportunity. It's also meant that gain that they got to Mark Colmer sort of washed away a little bit. Doesn't seem as if Jim Benson's been able to make the most of that little wiggle that Andy Wynne had, possibly because he had to back out of things as well. He's going to have another go into Church Corner, and he is alongside and he is through there. So Jim Benson eventually does get through into 6th place now, ahead of Andy Wynne, and he'll see if he can start to charge after the car ahead of him. But it looks like in a straight line actually. Andy Wynne's car is slightly quicker. Just looking at our commentary box window, it looked like he was gaining on Jim Benson as they made their way along that straightish section of the circuit. Long right-hander really, as they go past the school and towards Rocket at the top of the hill. So Colmer, Benson and Wynne now in this order in 5th, 6th and 7th positions. Confirmation there, Crowhurst has set a new fastest lap of the race of 1:13.82. Not quite as quick as he went yesterday evening in the 2nd race of the weekend when he was into the 1:13.5s. Down through the corkscrew goes Colmer, and he is under pressure from Benson here. So Benson in 3rd position within the class now, looking to get into the top 5 overall here. They cross the timing line again to complete lap number 8. Yesterday's race was 16 laps. Of course, we have a safety car here, so possibly we'll only get 15 laps out of this particular race. As down towards the banking they go. Sort of single file through there, out of the corner. Just a tiny little bit of curb used on the exit of that corner, and then accelerating really all the way, I think, through Church, where they come onto the backstretch where momentum is all important.
Yeah, the power of Mark Coleman's M3 should therefore pull clear of the six-cylinder 330 of Jim Benson, and it does, but we know Benson's good through the bends, so we head up to Rocket. How can Benson make this move? Well, he looks to the outside through the right-handed element. There's a long way to go all the way around the outside there, and then the power of the M3 comes in. So this might be a bit of a difficult task for Jim Benson. This is keeping Andy Wynne with him. So can Andy Wynne make anything of this problem that Jim Benson's really got, not being able to get past the more powerful car ahead of him?
Yeah, it's always a thorny issue, this, isn't it, when you're in a car. Well, this is where to do it, isn't it? At the corkscrew. Through is gone. That was very nicely done by Jim Benson, sort of out of the blue, really. So he has gone. So possibly that puts that thorny issue to bed. We'll see if that is the case, though. Cars making their way along the start and finish stretch once again.
Jim Benson 11 seconds behind Dan Harborough, so he's not going to be able to gain any more positions, is he, from that? It's been a good drive from the back of the grid.
Just looking at the Cup class, Gareth Thomas is still ahead. He's dropped down to 12th place overall now, as some cars that were possibly delayed have got ahead of him. It's a decent gap between himself and Ivor Mares of about 5 seconds, but what lap times are they doing? Thomas is doing 1:22.69, that time Mares are 1:22.50, so Mares in the Cup class is not catching Gareth Thomas fast enough.
No, and that might be enough for Gareth Thomas to wrap up the Cup class title today. I'll have a look at that in a bit. Looks like Sam Redrop's taken over his dad's car for today. That's what the timing screens are suggesting. Yes. Is that Will Lake with a problem?
It looks like it, yeah.
So yeah, Sam Redrop's done a good job from the back of the grid. He's got himself up to 9th place because his dad had that incident, didn't he, at the end of yesterday? He shared the car as well in road sports, so he's up there with Sarge Christopher Shari in another of the Rutec cars, teammate to Jim Benson.
Here is Satish Rahari then with Redrop right behind him. This is the battle for 8th and 9th position. Satish Rahari in the number 82 car. He is 40 years of age from Harlow. And anaesthetist is also a motorsport doctor as well, so often to be found at racetracks even when he's not competing. He's been racing for 3 years now, a couple of seasons in the Compact Cup and also some time now in the Car Club Racing Championship in this 3-litre 6-cylinder Rutec Racing prepared 2002 BMW 330ci. It's an ex-Darren Ball car, and he is having a good season and a good weekend here at Anglesey, trying to keep Sam Redrop at bay as they go through that right kink, climbing now quite steeply up to Rocket, and Redrop there goes through on the inside. We've seen a lot of drivers do that and then overcook their efforts, but on this occasion Redrop has got that move done, and he goes up to 8th place now with less than 5 minutes of the race to go.
Yeah, that's right. Bill Redrop's best result in that car this season has been an 8th position, and Sam's now up into 8th himself, isn't he? So that's a good effort from the youngster after making that move.
Yep, down through the corkscrew they go. And this will be for them to complete their 11th lap of the race. Graham Crowhurst already done that. He's 18 seconds clear of Wayne Lewis in 2nd place, and Lee Pearce only about 2.5 seconds behind Wayne Lewis, by the way. But then he's nearly 15 seconds clear of Dan Harborough, who is 2nd within the 6-cylinder class, and Jim Benson another 11 seconds or so behind him. There's the Colmer car with Andy Wynne behind him, as he has been for much of the race. Of course, Jim Benson has wriggled clear of these now. He's about 5 seconds up the road. So we've just got to see if Andy Wynne can do anything about Mark Colmer now in the closing stages, but I suspect if he was going to, he might have done it already. Possibly running out of steam now, running out of time as well, because we've only got just over 3 minutes of the race left to go now.
I think because Ivor Mares has got the fastest lap in the Cup class, it means he's just going to take the championship to Snetterton, but all that Gareth Thomas will have to do at Snetterton is start a race, so that shouldn't be too difficult for him. He'll have to travel to Snetterton though, which perhaps he was going to wrap the title up, he may not have done, so that's there is Gareth Thomas, actually, we're just talking about. I think he's been caught by Overmares as well, because that gap, which was 6 seconds not that long ago, looks a lot less than that here as they head their way into Peel. Yeah, Overmares is both in the same shot now, so he's caught those 5 or 6 seconds.
I wonder if he's being held up here by David Morris.
I think it's Jordan Saywood. It's got past
sorry, Jordan
Thomas.
Saywood, beg your pardon, yes. Jordan Saywood, number 71, ahead of Gareth Thomas here, the 29-year-old project engineer from Rochdale in his 3rd season of racing in the VTEC Direct Motorsport paired E36 Compact with a 2.8 litre engine that he originally bought 7 years ago as a cheap track car. He previously did a lot of the build work with his father until VTEC Direct have started to improve the car in recent times. So that's Jordan Saywood. He's in 12th position at the moment, one of the Class 6 cars, but he's got behind him the 2 Cup class leaders, Gareth Thomas, number 68, and Overmares, number 316, who was the winner yesterday.
And in the 6-cylinder class, Lee Piercy should be wrapping up the title in this race as well. So the main thing that's going to happen at Snetterton is sorting out the overall championship between Graham Crowhurst, who's won the M1 championship yesterday, and Lee Piercy, who's on his way to winning the Class 6 title today. So that gap between Gareth Thomas and Overmares, 1.5 seconds with what should be a couple of laps to go. So we'll see if Gareth Thomas can hang on. As I said, he hasn't won since Croft, so that is something that he would like to achieve, I'm sure, here. So there is Jordan Saywood just ahead. I was telling you about a moment ago. He's there in 12th position, just ahead of Thomas, and then Mares, who hasn't really made any inroads on this lap, I don't think. Now Saywood's ahead of Thomas.
No, last lap board has been shown as well to Graham Crowhurst. Yes, he's just rounded the banking, hasn't he? So he's got about 2/3 of the lap left to go. So these cars all now going on to their final lap of the race. Overmares probably they're not going to have time to catch and attack Gareth Thomas, because they'll be on their final lap as well. There's our race leader then, Graham Crowhurst, and he's heading towards a 3rd victory of the weekend, but he's not had too much challenge, Josh.
No, that's right. I think he'd be disappointed by that, because he normally likes to get involved in a battle. This will be his 9th victory of the season. And as I say, he's already won the M1 title. He won't be picking up maximum score today because of the lack of cars in his class. So that potentially it's going to mean Lee Piercy might be just in the better position as they head to Snetterton. But it'll be all up for grabs then in 3 weeks' time.
So he's coming through the final corner, 2 seconds to go, 1 second turn, climbers run out, so the checkered flag is waved, and it's Graham Crowhurst that takes the 3rd victory of the weekend in the BMW Car Club Racing Championship at Anglesey Circuit. As Josh says, his 9th victory of the season, already assured of the M1 class title, and he will be looking at Snetterton to add the overall championship to that, although it may not be completely in his hands. There goes the Cup class winner. That is Gareth Thomas on this occasion, the number 68 car, only just ahead of Overmares in 3:16. In the end, the Class 4 winner goes through. That's Andrew Pyro. There's our 2nd place finisher, Wayne Lewis, and our 3rd place finisher and Class 6 winner as well. That is Lee Piercy in the number 61 car. So a handful more cars to come through that haven't been lapped, including the Dan Harborough car. He's coming through in 4th place, number 30. And then in 5th place, we're going to see Jim Benson. We just saw him come into shot, the number 59 car. And 6th place will go to, I think, Mark Colmer. Yes, it will.